That's right, we have surprised them. That's what these little marks are above their head. That basically means I can take my first actions before they can even take any actions. So, go us. And my Highwayman gets to go first. I think I am just going to take a pistol shot at this guy with a gun in the back, because I know he does, he fires at me. So we're going to fire at him first. As you can see, this is the 2, 3, 4 slot position. That's what these little white dots are, and then I can attack anybody in the second, third, or fourth position. This guy actually is big enough that he holds up 2 slots, so he's in the 1 and 2 slot. This guy's in the 3rd slot, and there's a 4th slot. Not a splot, a slot. There's a 4th slot right here, which isn't occupied at this time. So we will take the pistol shot to this guy. Bam! Just clicked on him, did 6 damage to him. That's pretty good. This guy can only smite in the 1st or 2nd slot, which this big dude is taking up both those slots. So guess what? We will attack him there. Now there are other abilities for this guy. This is will attack the 1st and 2nd slot as well, but the AC base is 85, right? And this one is 85, but I get plus 15% damage versus Unholy. And this one actually gives me a minus 40% damage modifier. So I do less damage when I use this ability. Mainly because I guess I can attack 2 people with it usually, when there's not a big guy holding up the slots there. So I can also do a stunning blow. Again, the modifier for damage is 50%, so my damage will be really low with this, but there is a chance to stun this guy, which will make it so he can't move ever again. So we might do that, but not right now. And then my last ability on this guy is the Bulwark of Faith. Torch plus 24, that's what this is up here, guys. The more torch light you have going, it affects the loot you have. So the less torchlight there is, the darker it is in this darkest dungeon, the better loot you'll get. But also, the more challenging monsters can usually be. So it's kind of a balancing act, like how much torchlight do I want to use when I'm going through these dungeons. If I use a lot, the enemies will be easier to fight, and we have a chance of surprising them more often. But the loot will not be as good. And if it gets darker with less torchlight, then the monsters get a little bit tougher, and the loot is better if you beat them. So you're kind of doing this little balancing act with the torches right here. So I don't usually play with the torches much. There are players that will play and really mess with the torches, and there are other abilities that these guys have that some people will do better with torchlight, some people will do better with low torchlight. So there's different abilities, and we'll see that as we go through this series. But for now, let's just fight this fight here. I'm just going to try to smite him. It's my biggest damage spell. 12 damage to him. Take that, you big brute. That blanket fire, he shoots at both of us, does 2 damage, and we get debuffed. -2 dodge for 3 rounds. He shot him and knocked him back, which isn't too bad, but if he gets knocked back any further, then it would be bad for us. However, now that my Highwayman is here, he can only do one of these 2 moves, right? And I am going to I usually do bleed here. Let me just double check on this. Okay, damage modifiers minus 80%, and I bypass stealth, de-stealth. Nobody's stealthed here, so it's good. It's basically, this gives me a buff. It does a little bit of damage, and it gives me a buff. So we're going to open the vein so I can get that bleed effect. It's 100% chance to bleed. Now, enemies do have resistances, as you can see. If I mouse over them here, on the bottom, right here, where it disappears when I take the mouse off. But resistances show you how resistant this monster is, how resistant this monster is, and it's per character. So since I have this guy highlighted, it gives me the stats for using this hero. If that makes sense. All right. So this guy has a bleed of 20% resistance. So it's a pretty good chance we will bleed him, and that's what we will try to do. Yep, got the bleed. 2 damage per round for 3 rounds. Yeah, blanket shot me. Alright, this guy, sometimes they have a charge move. This guy may not have a charge move that lets him go forward, but it's okay, we're just going to smite him. Just regular attack did 10 damage. Excuse me. The bleed is still effect, so he did an attack that did both of them. My health is getting low. 13 out of 33 here. Knock it off. Stop shooting me. We're almost through this guy, though, so that's good. So, slice him. Corpses. When most monsters die, they leave a corpse. Corpses act as temporary obstacles and will eventually go away on their own. You can attack corpses to destroy them faster, but often a better approach is to use ranged skills, push/pull skills, and even corpse clearing special skills that some heroes possess. Monsters killed with bleed, blight, or crits leave no corpses at all. Alright, so basically what that's saying is, now look, I killed him, he can't do anything now, but he's still taking up space. So until we get rid of this guy, we can only do ranged attacks, because this guy is in the 3rd slot, and he's still taking up the 1 and 2 slot. But he still has his bleed on him, so he might go away, and he will go away after time. But what sucks here is that my dude back here, the Crusader, whose turn it is, cannot really do anything at the moment. He can only affect the corpse unless I buff myself, so it's going to be up to my boy here. My boy, actually, you know what? I'm going to move him forward. So I hit move. I select this. See, this is the guy I have highlighted. This is where I'm moving to. Boom, they switch spots. It does take my whole turn to do that, unfortunately. But now I can use my ranged shot to hopefully kill this guy. Let's see. Bam!
Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Yes! Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles. That's right. Victory. Look what we got. We got some more food, and we got 2 deeds. Now, deeds is one of the currencies in the game. You have to use deeds, busts, and there's a couple other things that you can use to upgrade your hamlet once you get there, which we will be there shortly. So this is kind of like different currency that you have to collect. You have to collect so many of each in order to upgrade your town, and yeah, so it's pretty cool. We're going to take all of this stuff. Completing a quest. After you completed the requirement of the quest, you have the option to return to town at any time. Just click the crest. You don't need to return to the starting room of the dungeon to exit. That's right. Quest is complete. I can return to my hamlet now, or I can continue adventuring, but there's nowhere else to go in this place, so we're going to go ahead and return to my hamlet. Oh, I should have continued adventuring because there was a chest there. Oh, man. So we got through the dungeon, and this is the victory that we get for completing the dungeon. Alright, 5,000 gold total, plus the collected treasure of 780. All this food that was still left in my inventory gets turned into gold. That's where the collected treasure comes in. 375 plus all of this, and this gives me 780 gold. And then the collected heirlooms, I got 0 busts, I got 0 of the portraits. I did get 2 deeds, that's what these guys are, and I didn't get any of the shields here. The crests. I didn't get any of the crests, but that's okay. That was the intro to town. When you complete a dungeon, this is where things get tricky, because this means that he got something. Now, when I click on this, it's either going to give him something good or something bad, and it's completely random as far as I know. So there's no way to really affect it, although I think if things happen to you in the dungeon to that character, then there's a better chance that something else will happen. So usually we just click on this and see what it is. Okay, it's yellow, so this is something good. He's a night owl. +2 speed if the torch is below 26. So goes back to me telling you about the torches, right? Telling you about the torches. If a torchlight is below 26, he gets +2 speed, which means he actually can go faster during the round. And we are going to return to town.